My beloved friend, can I ask you a question that's lingered in the heart of every person who's ever walked this earth? When we draw our last breath, what happens next? Maybe it's a question you try to push aside, or maybe you've lost someone and find yourself lying awake at night wondering where they are, what it all means. Maybe you're just curious, searching for something deeper than what this life offers. Wherever you are, I want you to know you're not alone in these questions. I remember sitting at the bedside of my grandmother when I was a child. The house was quiet, sunlight pouring in through the curtains, and I could feel the weight of the moment. She squeezed my hand and whispered, "One day you'll understand that this is not the end." For years I wondered what she meant. Her words echoed in my heart, especially in moments of loss or loneliness. Maybe you've heard similar words, or maybe you wish you had. Today, let's open that door together. Let's talk honestly about what happens after we leave this world, what Jesus teaches us, what hope looks like, and why it matters so much to the way we live now. I want you to feel safe here. This isn't about rules or fear. It's about hope, promise, and something beautiful waiting for us beyond what we can see. When we face the reality of death, 1,000 feelings can rise up. Fear, doubt, even anger. It's natural. We want to know, will we see our loved ones again? Is there really something more? Or is it just wishful thinking? Deep down, most of us long for assurance, a reason to hope. The good news is, Jesus did not leave us without answers. He spoke to his friends about life after death, not with complicated words, but with pictures and promises meant to comfort the heart. He said, "In my Father's house are many rooms. I go to prepare a place for you." Imagine that. A place prepared just for you, not an empty space, but a home filled with belonging, peace, and love. Jesus wanted us to know that death is not a cold ending, but a doorway into something greater, where we are truly seen and welcomed. Some people worry that maybe they're not good enough to make it there. Maybe you've felt that way, like you've missed too many chances, or your story is already written. But Jesus didn't come for perfect people. He came for the hurting, the broken, and those with questions. He looked at the thief on the cross, a man with nothing left to offer, and said, "Today you will be with me in paradise." That promise is not just for a chosen few, it's for anyone who turns their heart toward him, no matter what their past looks like. So why does it matter what happens after death? Because it changes the way we live now. If you knew that you were deeply loved and that this life wasn't the end, would it help you face each day with more courage? Would it give you hope to forgive, to start over, or to love without fear? When Jesus rose from the grave, he shattered the finality of death. He showed us that our future is secure, not because of what we have done, but because of what he has done for us. Sometimes we fear the unknown, but Jesus steps into that fear and gives it a name: hope. When we lose someone, it's not goodbye forever, but see you again. The early followers of Jesus lived with this certainty. Many of them faced hard times, even death, but they held on to a quiet confidence that there was something more. This hope gave them the strength to love, to risk, and to care for others, knowing their story was far from over. If you've ever stood at a graveside with tears in your eyes, wondering if your prayers reached heaven, let me gently remind you that Jesus sees every tear. He promises that not even a sparrow falls without God noticing. You're not forgotten, and neither are those you love. Child, don't let fear take over your heart. Let hope fill the spaces where doubt tries to grow. Death may be a mystery, but it is not a dead end. With Jesus, it becomes a beginning, a step from shadow into light, from questions into peace. We're just getting started. There's so much more to discover about this promise and what it means for us here and now. If you're ready, let's walk this journey together. Now that we've opened our hearts to the possibility that death is not the end, let's explore what Jesus tells us about the life waiting for us and how it changes everything. When we think about life after death, it's easy to get lost in all the opinions and theories the world throws at us. Some people say it's all just wishful thinking, a story made up to make us feel better when we're scared. Others imagine all kinds of things: bright lights, mysterious tunnels, maybe a voice calling our name. But what if the truth is even more beautiful and more certain than anything we could imagine? Jesus didn't try to scare his followers with talk about what happens next. He wanted them to feel secure, like children climbing into their father's arms after a long day. He talked about a feast, a celebration, where everyone is welcome, no matter who they are or where they've come from. He spoke about a place where there are no more tears, no more pain, no more regrets weighing us down. In the book of Revelation, it's described as a new heaven and a new earth where God himself wipes away every tear. Can you picture that? Not just an empty, endless space, but a real place with laughter, singing, and a sense of home. I think of the people who came to Jesus in the middle of their suffering, like Martha, whose brother Lazarus had died. She was angry, confused, and her heart was breaking. Maybe you've been there too, feeling like God was too late, like he missed your cry for help. But Jesus looked at her, not with frustration, but with so much love. He said, "I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live even after dying." He wasn't just talking about Lazarus, he was talking about all of us. So what does this promise mean for us right now? It means you don't have to live in fear of what's ahead. You can live with confidence that your story doesn't end at the grave. Jesus promises that when we put our trust in him, we step into a life that never truly ends. Our bodies may grow weak, but our souls, the deepest part of who we are held in God's hands. Maybe you wonder, is it really that simple? What about all the mistakes I've made? That's the beauty of grace. Jesus never demanded perfection. He invited people just as they were: fishermen, tax collectors, women with broken pasts, men who doubted and stumbled. He welcomed them all. And he welcomes you. You don't have to earn a place in God's house. You only need to accept the invitation, just as you are with all your questions and all your flaws. If you've ever watched a child leap into their parents' arms, you've seen what faith looks like. Trust isn't about having every answer. It's about believing that you are loved, that you belong, and that someone stronger than you is holding you close even when you can't see him. That's what Jesus wants for you. Not a life spent worrying about the end, but a life lived fully knowing you're already held. Let me share a story. There was a man who spent his whole life working hard, trying to do the right thing, but always feeling like he came up short. He worried about what would happen when his time was up. Would he measure up? Would he be rejected? One night, after years of anxiety, he knelt by his bed and just spoke honestly to God. "I don't have it all together. I've messed up, but I want to know you. Please help me." It was simple, not a fancy prayer, but in that quiet space, he felt a peace he couldn't explain. That peace changed him. It didn't erase all his struggles, but it gave him a new kind of hope, a hope that didn't depend on his performance, but on God's love for him. You don't have to be afraid of running out of time or missing your chance. With Jesus, there is always a way back. He is the good shepherd who searches for the one who is lost, no matter how far they've wandered. No mistake is too great, no doubt too deep for his grace to reach. Even in your final moments, he is there whispering, "You are mine. You are loved. You are not alone." I know sometimes these truths can feel distant, like words on a page or stories for someone else. But if you pause and let them sink in, they start to change everything. The way you see yourself, the way you see others. Suddenly, death is not something to dread, but a doorway to hope. A continuation, not a conclusion. It doesn't erase the pain of loss, but it wraps it in comfort, knowing that love is never wasted, and every goodbye in Jesus is only temporary. As you reflect on these promises, maybe you feel a longing for that kind of peace, a peace that holds you steady even when life is stormy. You can have that right here, right now. You don't have to wait until the end to experience the hope Jesus brings. He offers it freely every day to anyone who asks. So take a deep breath with me. Let hope rise in your heart like the dawn after a long, dark night. Remember, you are not journeying toward a blank emptiness. You are moving closer to a love that is stronger than death, a home that cannot be taken away. And as we continue, let's hold on to that promise, letting it shape the way we live and love every single day. You know, as we've been talking about what happens after death, I'm reminded again and again how much this hope isn't just about some far-off future, but about the life we're living right now. There's a reason Jesus talked about eternal life as something that begins the moment we trust Him, not just the day we leave this earth, but the moment we open our hearts. He wanted us to know that we don't have to wait until the end of our days to feel His presence, His peace, and the assurance that we are never alone. Sometimes I think about the people I've loved and lost their laughter, the way their eyes lit up when they smiled all the moments we shared. It's easy to feel like those chapters are closed forever, like the best parts of our lives are behind us. But when Jesus speaks about the resurrection and the life He's giving us, a reason to look forward, to trust that no love is ever wasted and no goodbye is ever final in Him. He promises that one day every tear will be wiped away and all that's broken will be made new. Maybe today you're carrying grief, a loss that hasn't faded, or a fear that keeps you up at night. Maybe you wonder if God is really there, if He's listening, if your prayers matter. Friend, you are seen. Your pain is known. And God is not far from you, even in your darkest moments. He draws close to the brokenhearted, and He invites you to bring every question, every worry, every regret to Him. It's okay to be honest with God, to say, I'm scared, or I don't know what to believe. He's not put off by our doubts or our weaknesses. In fact, that's where He meets us, right in the middle of our mess. I think about Thomas the disciple, who couldn't believe until he saw the wounds in Jesus' hands. Jesus didn't shame him for his questions. He met him with compassion, giving him what he needed to believe, and He'll do the same for you. So how do we live knowing this hope is real? We live with courage. We love deeply. We forgive freely. We make every day count, not out of fear, but out of joy for the gift we've been given. If there's someone you need to call them. If there's a grudge you've been holding, maybe today is the day to let it go. If you've been afraid to start over, remember that Jesus specializes in new beginnings. Eternal life doesn't erase the pain of this world, but it gives us the strength to endure, to keep going, and to believe that something beautiful is still ahead. And if you're facing your own mortality or caring for someone who is, remember that the story isn't over. The same Jesus who wept at his friend's tomb also called him by name and brought him out into the light. That's the promise for all of us, life that is stronger than death, love that outlasts the grave. If you find yourself longing for that peace, for that sense of belonging, I want to invite you right here, right now, to talk to God in your own words. You don't need special phrases or rituals. Just speak from your heart. Tell Him what you're feeling, what you're afraid of, what you hope for. And then listen. Sometimes the answer is a quiet comfort that settles deep inside, a gentle reminder that you are not alone and you never will be. As we close, I want you to know how precious your life is and how deeply you are loved by God and by the people whose lives you've touched. Your story matters, every single page, and no matter where you've been or what you've done, the door is always open for you to come home. If something in this message spoke to your heart, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts or your story in the comments below. You never know, your words might be the encouragement someone else needs today. If this video helped you, please like and subscribe so we can keep sharing hope and faith together. My prayer is that you will walk with courage, with hope, and with the unshakable assurance that in Jesus' death is not the end. It's just the beginning of a story more beautiful than we can imagine. May you live each day with a heart full of peace, and may you truly know that you are never alone, not for a moment. May you live happily and healthily at every age. God bless you now and forever.